Recently, I feel like I have been dissing all over romance K dramas of any kind. And I'm telling you, I don't like it, okay? Hey, I also want to watch 12 hours of something and come out feeling happy and rejuvenated. So when I saw the trailer for Spooky in Love, it looked and felt a lot like Hotel Del Luna, and I was like, there is no way that I'm not going to like this. So I watched it, and uh, let's start from the beginning. Spooky in Love begins with our female lead, Chanyori, digging up some earth in the middle of nowhere. She unearths a phone and turns it on, and our prosecutor in charge of the case, Ma Ganguk, also our main lead, is notified about it. He then heads to the location where the phone was turned on, where he finds Chonyori. They immediately assume that the other is the perpetrator and start tackling each other. Now, it makes sense for the prosecutor to be there, but a normal citizen at a crime scene? Fishy, right? Yes, Magangok thinks so too. But before he can interrogate her properly, Chonyori disappears. Cut to the next scene where we see that Chonyori is actually near the crime scene but a bit further away and talking to the person who brought her to that location. Except that person is dead. And she's talking to its spirit. Yes, turns out she can see ghosts. And as you can probably guess, the woman who can see ghosts and the prosecutor investigating these cases keep running into each other at crime scenes, and when two people keep meeting under these normal circumstances, we all know what happens next. Yes, they fall in love. And that's pretty much the premise that is claimed to be. The two of them falling in love while investigating crimes and also having to deal with a group of very awful relatives and the creepy lover boy who goes by the name Kang Min Wan. And let me tell you, the drama had huge potential, huge. I was totally sold on the premise. The themes were supernatural and romance, and that's literally my favorite combination of genres. But boy, was I disappointed on that front. The supernatural element exists for only a very small part of the drama, and after that, it turns into your usual CEO overthrowing shenanigans. And frankly, that was very irritating. It felt like such a clickbait tactic. Oh my god, I genuinely couldn't understand why they would trade such a juicy premise for something as generic as corporate politics. Pretty wasteful, if you ask me. It reminded me so much of Filing for Love because they did something very similar there too. Both dramas have frustrating plots that start focusing too much on corporate politics towards the end. Both have male leads who are extremely dedicated to their work. Neither gives the male lead much of a character arc, and both have really mature and uplifting romances. I know a lot of people might disagree with me, but I really like the chemistry. It was the best part of the drama for me, and honestly, it's saving grace. In a lot of dramas, I only enjoy the romance before the leads get together, but here, I liked it even more once they were actually together. And I know I dissed Phantom Lawyer a bit because the protagonist Shinirang was almost never in court, but at least I saw him inside the courtroom around twice, I guess. Here we have a prosecutor who never, not even once, sets foot in a courtroom. Is there a reason K-dramas keep giving investigative roles to prosecutors and lawyers instead of just giving us detectives? Is it because those professions carry more prestige in Korea? I don't have any idea about this. So if anyone does, please let me know in the comments. Now back to the review. Personally, I think the betrayal from the premise was simply too big and there were too many conveniences in the plot, and some of them were actually really bad. So I won't actively recommend it. But if you do plan to watch it, I am not going to ask you to change your plans. I think you can watch it for the chemistry, but please do align your expectations with what the drama actually is and not what its premise makes you think it's going to be. And that's the end of the spoiler-free section. Now, let's dive deeper. The chemistry to me was amazing. I loved how supportive Maganguk was. There's this scene where she can't find the time to talk to him, so he's all stressed, and I was worried that they were going to turn this into some misunderstanding with some dramatic consequences. But thank God they didn't do that. Instead, he goes to her office, she's happy to see him, and he offers to help her with work. It was so cute. I loved the couple. I know a lot of people complained about the Singapore episodes, but I personally didn't mind them at all. I was just really happy that Maganguk had figured out a way to hold her hand, and we actually got some proper Yori and Maganguk time where they could just be a normal couple and frolic around for a bit. I also usually hate the "I'm breaking up with you for our own good" trope. But here it was actually understandable and much less frustrating because Yori does hold on to Ganguk for as long as she can. She loves him and wants to protect him, but at the same time, she's aware of her condition and how it can endanger him. And she cannot fix that. There's nothing she can do about it. So when Gangok's grandmother comes in and explains to her that recently all of the instances where Gangok was put in danger was because he was with Yuri, it makes sense for her to break up with him for his sake. I actually think that this trope was really handled pretty well here. And the breakup gave us one of the best male lead crying scenes I have seen recently. This scene was genuinely so beautiful. I loved how vulnerable it was. He first sets up a tent, or basically his version of Yuri's fort, and then finally lets himself cry and wail. Honestly, beautiful. I also really appreciated the kind of workplace Gangok had. It wasn't as toxic as prosecutors' offices are often portrayed in dramas, and I thought that was a nice breath of fresh air. But sadly, everything else was just a huge letdown. I won't lie, there were quite a few points throughout the drama where I had to force myself to keep watching or switch to 1.5x speed. The political plot was really testing my patience. And I mean, if they wanted to include this storyline so bad, why not actually incorporate the ghosting premise into it? Yuri's abilities barely contributed to the political storyline beyond the fact that having a CEO who can see ghosts is scandalous. Seriously, they could have done so much more. They could have introduced Jiwon's ghost much earlier and had him help Yuri uncover evidence that would prove Minwon was guilty and help her bring down his plan. Or they could have had Pak Sung-jae's ghost come to Yuri before his body was found and led her to the golf ball where the chip was hidden. But no, they literally went, stay loyal to the premise and make it interesting for you? Not on my watch. Instead, they thought having our leads randomly stumble across evidence, with the evidence practically falling into their laps, was a better idea than having a ghost point them towards it. Are you kidding me? I don't understand the existence of Deus Ex Machina in a supernatural story where so many things can be attributed to ghosts or supernatural forces and still make sense. And this is just the most frustrating example of convenience I'm talking about. There are plenty more scattered throughout the plot. To cut them some slack, I think they did this because they did not want to dilute Yuri's competence by showing an overdependence on ghosts, but I think they fumbled on how to balance it well and ended up wasting the entire premise altogether. And then there was the entire mystery surrounding the green pendant, which honestly felt very misplaced. The pendant had a supernatural significance in Yuri and Minwon's dead brother Jiwon's life. It swapped their fates. Jiwon died in her place, and Yuri held on to him in the spiritual realm, something she was not supposed to do, and that in turn caused her ghosting condition. But then why did Minwon take the pendant and lie about it? What was the point of throwing him into the mix and making it seem like the pendant had some other purpose that somehow benefited him? Like there is some chip inside it, or that's where he stores his superpowers? And then nothing. It was literally pointless for him, and that was so awkward. Also, how did we reach this point where the truck or car of doom appears not once, but twice in 2026? What? It was so lazy. Like, come on, man. You did not even try with this one. And the last one. I really hate her three relatives. They were irritating, boring, one-dimensional, and given way more screen time than required. They should have just removed 50% of the relative screen time and shortened the entire drama altogether. Honestly, the drama feels like it was written by two different people. One person was ambitious and started writing a supernatural drama, but then they lost motivation halfway, handed the script to someone else, and that person didn't bother reading what came before. They just saw Chebol in Yuri's character description, decided the story was about conglomerate politics, and went off and wrote an entirely different drama. But yet, after bitching about this drama for several minutes, I will still tell you that it is actually better than a lot of dramas being released recently. And I would not have actually disliked the story so much if they had not completely wasted the premise and caused a complete mismatch between what the drama promises and what it actually delivers. And that's pretty much how I feel about the drama. Have you watched it? How did you feel about it? Let me know in the comments. If you like this video, do hit the like button, and if you like K-dramas, do subscribe. As always, I'll see you in the next one.